Hi, my name is Audra Wilson Russell, owner of WATS CPA firm, and today we're talking about completing Form W-9. So completing Form W-9. The Form W-9 is a request for taxpayer identification number and certifications. Companies may ask for it in order to know how you are classified as a business so that they know if they have any 1099 filing requirements for your business. Line 1. If you are a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, then you want to use the name that shows on your personal tax return 1040, line 1. If you use a trade or DBA, put that on line 2. For partnerships or LLCs that are not single member LLCs and S corporations and C corporations, you want to use the name of that company on a line 1. Again, if you use a trade name or a DBA for that company, then you would put that on line 2. All other entities, be sure to use the name of the entity on line 1. Line 2 of the W-9 is simply the business name, trade name, or DBA if it differs from line 1. Line 3, you want to check the appropriate box for your U.S. federal classification. So what does that mean? If you are a corporation, select corporation. If you're an individual, a sole proprietor, or a single member LLC, then you want to check off the individual, sole proprietor, or single member LLC box. If you are treated as an S corporation or a partnership or a corporation, then you want to check the LLC box and indicate if you are taxed as a partnership, a C corp, or an S corp for federal tax purposes. If you're a partnership, select partnership. If you're a trust or an estate, then of course select trust or estate and estate. Line 4, if you're exempt from backup withholdings and factor reporting, then enter the appropriate space on line 4 with the code that applies to your exemption. On line 5, be sure to enter your address, which includes, of course, your number, your street, your apartment or suite number. Okay, this is the request where the person who is requesting your W-9, they need to have the accurate address on file for you in case they're going to send you any payments or whatever the case may be. If you were to move and your vendors have your old address, you would typically send them an updated Form W-9 so that they can update your address on file with them. Line 6, pretty simple, just enter your city, state, and zip code. Part 1 is the taxpayer identification number. This is where you would enter either the social or the tax ID. The social security is typically reserved for those individuals or those sole proprietors that do not have a tax ID and do not file a separate tax return other than the 1040. For the corporations, the estates, those are the ones who have their own tax ID and their own tax return. Therefore, you would use the employer identification number as opposed to using the social security number. Part 2 is just a simple certification. You are signing and you are dating, basically certifying that the information that you're providing to the vendor is correct. So now let's go over some examples. This is the first example of what a sole proprietor or Schedule C filer would complete. On the taxpayer identification section, we're using the social security number. An example of what an S corporation filer would complete would be the business name on top, selecting if they are a limited liability company taxed as an S corporation. This is also another example of how an S corporation could file this W-9. So if they're not an LLC at all, if they're just a straight S corporation, then they would only check the box that says S corporation. C corporations, and finally a trust or estate. Now, when it comes to completing the taxpayer identification number, those corporate returns, the trust or the estate filing Form 1041, the partnership filing 1065, the C Corp filing Form 1120, and the S Corporation filing Form 1120S would use their employer identification number in the tax identification number field. If you are a resident alien and you do not have a social security number, then this is where you would use your I-10 in the place of the social security number field. I hope this information was very useful and helpful to you so that you can complete your Form W-9 accurately for those vendors that request it.